So today on Project Shop, we have a lot going on over here at the ranch. We got John here helping out. We're doing a little cleaning up, getting these granulators up out of the way for now. We're not going to mess with them probably until next week. I got the Kubota apart. Well, not apart. I took the arm off. I called two places, one in Sebring, which was slightly closer, and another in Winter Haven, which is slightly further away. Now, the people in Sebring, you know, they didn't give me much. They basically, I told them the part I needed. They gave me the part price and said, if, you know, you need to bring it in at $175 an hour, diagnostic, you know, and we can tell you what's wrong with it. Now, I called the other one, and the guy actually went, talked to his techs, talked to the parts guy, and was like, I told him what my issue was. He goes, hey man, I'll get back to you in a little bit. We'll see if we can work this out. And he basically talked to a couple people, and they literally said 90% of the time it's going to be those arm switches, which locks out the pedal and throws that code. So I'm hoping that's the issue. And the sensor is actually a little bit cheaper up there. So my lovely wife is going to go get that for me while I work here at the house. And then she also printed me out the SSV 75 operator's manual, which has a ton of great information in it. I was looking at this online last night. Tells you what the codes could be. There's just a lot of really good information on here. Troubleshooting, functions, stuff like that. So I'm gonna find a folder for this, and at least we have it. Now this is an owner's manual. This is not the service manual. I still am gonna be looking for the service manual, but for operation of the machine, maintenance, scheduled maintenance, this is good. Yeah, so this stupid switch sits here, and this magnet sits here, and when the arm moves, the magnet comes in close and engages this piece. And apparently these things are notorious for going out. 3-prong. I'd still like to figure out how to, hey, what did they call it when they were eliminating these switches? They had a term for it. It wasn't bypass, it was
skip.
How to skip the switch? Yeah.
How to skip the switch.
Yeah. We're gonna try and, you know, skip the switch. Now I honestly, I like the fact that it shuts the machine off, which it should be a much simpler switch, like a manual switch. But I see why they did that with the 3 wires. Like I said in my last video, if anyone knows why there's 3 wires and not just 2, I think that 3rd wire could be something sending back to the computer, some type of value that the computer needs to read for things to do its thing. Or it could just be sending it to another switch. I don't know. So that's like $60 something. That's like 15. I doubt that this is bad, but we're just going to go ahead and change them both anyway. They have one in stock. I'll probably just have them order me another one. So we have it. They're the same part number for either side, so I can swap it around, see what's doing. Hopefully this fixes the issue and we get that machine operational again, because that is a huge part of what we're doing over here. Not having a machine is already making me feel like I need to get another one as a backup. So I got to get this stuff to my wife and get her on the road, and then we're going to be doing some scrapping today. We're going to be trying to pull as much copper as we can while it's still up. Probably going to do something with them silver contacts sitting right there. And also we have some pipes. I sideswiped the pipe building the first fence. John hit it bullseye dead center building the second fence, which we'll show you later on. And we're going to be repairing another pipe out in the pasture. Very interesting how they had this place set up. And we're learning more and more about it as we go along. And we'll get into all that in a little bit. Okay, here we go. We have magnet brake joint. So we have the new magnet, 2 of them. And they did have 2 sensors in stock. My lovely wife went on a 3-hour round trip, basically. Like an hour, 20 minutes there. You know, the time being there and then back. So here's the switch. It gets mounted right here. And then this magnet, which is probably still good, but I just wanted to eliminate everything, even though that little tiny thing there was like 15 bucks or whatever. This gets mounted right there. And then when the arm comes up, this moves out of the way. I guess stops this from working. Now, I bought both of them. I'm going to go ahead and just replace both to eliminate anything. I will wrap this up and keep it and mark this as right and left, because the left might be good to have it as a backup. I can just slap in there real quick if something ever happened. I still am going to look for a way to do without this. So I'm going to go ahead and get this one on, and then we're going to bolt this in. I'm going to unbolt the other one. And this thing is, they thoroughly bolted this with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws for this thing. This is crazy. They're not too hard to get to. I mean, literally take about a minute to get this out of the machine. The hardest part of the whole thing is unplugging the thing. Now, hopefully this works. If not, at least that's eliminated. And then I will flip the cab up and we'll start looking at connections. But at what I talked to the dude and what he suggested, and 90% of the time these are it. The other 10% of the time could be pinched wire, a bad solenoid somewhere. But I don't know how long these have been in there. They are a common thing that goes bad. At least we have new magnets, a spare magnet, and new sensors, and we can eliminate that from the issue. Okay, I got this thing reinstalled with the new magnet, the new switch. John's going to hook up the battery real quick, because I do want to determine whether or not if it was both switches or just one. If it's just one, I'm actually going to let it ride, and I'm going to keep that other switch as a backup. You ready? Yep. So this will tell us. Nope, still flashing. That ain't good. We might have more underlying issues. Okay, well, we're going to change out the other sensor. If that doesn't do anything, we're gonna pull these 2 bolts right here and flip the cab up. Probably give this thing a proper cleaning. I did notice this. Not sure what that's from, but it looks like they've been here and deleted something else, or maybe this isn't from this at all. I don't know. We got to keep going. Okay, so that side didn't fix it, so now we're going to move on to this side. I'm going to show you how this whole arm comes off. It's pretty simple. Now this side has this seatbelt thing more in the way, so I'm just going to move the seat up out of the way. Hopefully that gives us a little bit more space. You're going to need, I'm running a 12mm and a small, probably a 3-inch extension. Now you need a bigger extension to get down to that one, which I have over on the other side. And 2 bolts back in this direction. Going to add a little extension here. Get down in there. Okay. You got chubby fingers like me. It's hard to get in these tight places. There's not a lot of room of wire. I've seen this really cool. I don't know how good they actually work. I've seen this really cool. Oh, this one's different. This one's backwards. Okay, being that that's kind of in a difficult spot, the clip is actually backwards compared to the other one. I guess it's the same sensor. A stubby Phillips would probably be better for this situation. Take that out like that. Careful not to lose your screw. Yeah. And then they have one of those stupid harness clips. I guess it's not stupid, but yeah. There's a little harness clip. You just squeeze it and push it out. And then now that you have your thing out, you can see there's a clip. You can push it there. You know, I'm wondering if maybe there's bad connection because, you know, this cab is supposed to have glass here. So this thing's probably been exposed to some moisture that it normally wouldn't. And they did ask me if this was a cabbed machine. So, wow, this one's way more difficult. Yeah. Being that it sits in there like that, I don't know if it got water in there or not. It looks like it has a pretty good seal. I don't see any green corrosion. The wires look like they're intact. So we're going to change it out and we're going to eliminate this part, and then the magnet, is right here. Just going to use this 5/16. Now there's probably absolutely nothing wrong with this magnet, and we will keep it in case this thing ever falls off. I'm not saying that there would have been anything wrong with this. It's a very generic, like, weak magnet. It's not very strong. See if the new magnet is any better. Kind of feels like it's got a little stronger pull to it. Okay. Now, I should be able to run this back up in there. Okay, it's all the way in. Let's see if we can't get that clip back in there. Okay. Simple. Now we're going to just do the reverse.
all tried out.
Huh. Okay, so that was pretty straightforward. Now, man, I hope that does something, because if not, we got bigger major problems. One thing with that code that it did say, it could be filters, but the problem is the thing comes up just by turning the key. That thing comes up. So the crazy thing is, it's locked right now. I'm wondering if the solenoid that actually locks this is not disengaging. So we're gonna go look for that next if this doesn't solve the problem, and see if we can't get it to engage and free up these pedals. Okay, so unfortunately those sensors did not solve the problem. Now, I don't know if, since this thing is flashing a code, if this thing needs to go to the dealer and be reset, which would absolutely suck. But I think it's probably one of those deals where they charge you $170. They plug a computer in and just hit clear, probably straightens it right out. In the meantime, I'm gonna look for the solenoid that unlocks the thing and just check, see if the wires are okay. See if I can't put 12 volts to it, maybe activate it, see if it's actually working. I don't know. We're going to pull these 2 bolts, and apparently this cab will just lift up, and there's a locking mechanism somewhere, and this thing should come up. I don't know if I have to pull these bolts. Good question. The seat comes up with it. I don't know. We'll just see. We'll find out here in a second. Maybe that all comes up with it. I don't know. But looking at this, I feel like I'm missing some panels down here. I don't know if there should be holes that go down into the bottom of the thing like that. And being the fact that this is loose, this is just kind of sitting there, I'm going to suspect that I'm missing a couple different things. It looks like something probably sits here. Maybe that's what these ribs are for. I don't know, but we'll figure it out here in a second. Must have been a while. I have to get a bigger gun. That's all you need is a bigger gun. Okay. take a look. So this seems to be the safety. It's working good. Oh, this is the mic, the wind mic for my camera. I'm not sure what this stuff is. We'll keep that. Oh, we have a fuse box. There it is. Are these for that? I guess not. Okay. Not sure what they're for. You know, this would have been a lot easier if I raised the boom up and put the lock on there. But we can... I should probably go get a vacuum. Yeah, I'm gonna go get my wet vac real quick. I'm gonna suck a bunch of this stuff off. No reason of blowing it down in here. Look at them bolts there. Are they supposed to have that much of a space on the top? Are we missing something? There's 3 hydraulic filters in here somewhere. One, I believe, is in the tank. And which is probably down there. Then you have that one, and I believe there's one back here. I believe it's that one over there. I'm gonna use this pin. Oh, that works great. And I believe I have that one. I went and bought 2 filters. I believe I have the big one. Genuine Kubota parts. And these were not cheap. So it did say it could be a clogged filter, but here's the deal. The fact that when I turn the key, that triangle pops right up, which means as soon as there's power put to the system, there's a fault coming right through the computer somehow. Now, I don't know if, like I said before, the computer needs to be reset somehow. If it's a dealer thing, or if there's another something or other gone wrong here. But we will kind of explore a little further. I'd like to pull these panels, look at any solenoids, clean all this stuff out. So I'm gonna go get my vacuum. We will vacuum this out, probably blow it out as well now that it's nice and open, and probably go get a pressure cleaner. I am going to look back through that manual that I got because it did say precautions when cleaning. So there's probably certain areas that you're not supposed to just directly blast with the pressure cleaner, and we'll take a look at that. And then while we're here and got this open, I don't know when these filters were changed, but we will change them now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look on the thing, because it does have a maintenance schedule for every so many hours. I have no idea how many hours have gone by since any things have been done on this thing. But what we're going to do is start to knock them all off. We'll start, you know, we'll just say it's time for them all, and we'll just start doing all the scheduled maintenance. So I'll pull all that paper out and see what we need to do. And yeah, I am noticing like a little bit of rust here, some rust on this. That I'll probably hit that with the needle scaler. This is this sucks. That's pretty bad there. And that's probably because this is foam, and that's probably holding moisture. That's exactly what's happened there. That whole corner is gone. So we gotta clean that up. We're gonna lose it. We'll clean it up, hit it with some Rust-Oleum, and try to stop any of the rust from going further. Yeah, I mean, other than it looking dusty, it actually doesn't look too bad in here. And back here, the only reason there's a bunch of grease and oil is from the hydraulic cylinder that was leaking there. And when I took the thing off, that's mainly from when the cylinder was leaking. So we'll get this all cleaned up, and maybe we can find something here. Other than that, if I can't find anything or figure it out, we're gonna have to load this thing up and take it to the dealer and eat that $170 an hour diagnostic, which that's gonna suck. Okay, so cleaned it up a little bit, and then I'm thinking, you know what, the guy I got the machine from told me that he had these the foot pedals rebuilt right before he sold it. And I know he doesn't do his own work, so I called him and I asked him what the problem is with the foot pedals that he had. He said they slowly started getting harder to work. So these ones, it's not a progressive where it's getting harder to work. It's instant. It's all or nothing. When I did get it to work again, it worked flawlessly, and then, you know, it's just not working. This one here, and I can see what it's doing. It looks like so what he did is he gave me, I mean, he said he spent thousands of dollars having this rebuilt, but he gave me the number to the guy, and the guy said that these 3 solenoids in the front are the ones that lock it out. And that makes sense because they're right there. Now, let's see. I see this wanting to move, but what is locking it? What he told me to do is pull these things off and swap these around and see if something else happens. So if I swap that and I get that to work, then maybe I can find out, like, maybe one of them powers this, the auto feed, which I don't really need that much, and maybe one powers this. So if temporarily I can swap it around so that I just have the 2 functions that I need, which is up and down and the tilt, I can actually run the machine. And if it's just the solenoid, that looks like a pretty straightforward, easy fix. So that's exactly what I'm going to do here. I'm going to swap those around. I'm just start with these 2 right there, see if that does anything. I'm actually going to look at these lines, kind of see what they do, where they go, see which ones might be connected to that pedal, why it would be locking it out. I'd like to pull this cover actually and see what's right under there, because I see that this is controlling that rod there, which is moving freely. And being that he had to have this rebuilt, I'm assuming he had to have this valve block rebuilt. Here's another solenoid. That might be our problem there. Huh. But he said most likely it's going to be one of these 3 in the front. I'm going to inspect the wires, and we're going to just swap them around and see what they do. I mean, it's pretty much the same stuff. But the fact that this is just hard locked. Hopefully it's nothing like in there. And I don't see how it could be anything like stuck in the system or locked, because like I thought it was the seat sensor going bad, so I bounced on the seat, and I guess I don't know what I did, but I shook something around and it instantly worked. I feel like it's a connection issue or a sensor, you know, or that solenoid just decided not to. Maybe I just need to tap those solenoids and get them working again. But it's just weird. Maybe if the solenoid shorted out, it would be dead heading, dead fault, or whatever, and sending a signal immediately immediately sending a signal. And you know what the crazy thing is? I don't remember if the machine, I never, when this machine was off, moved those pedals. So I don't know if at idle that thing is supposed to move, you know, or if one of those solenoids locked immediately and got stuck. Maybe it's stuck up there and seized, you know. I don't know, but we're gonna mess with this and see what we can do. Okay, I think we're getting somewhere. So I wind up swapping these two over here, and it actually made it worse. Okay, the way it is now with the light flashing, the track, I can track the machine back and forth, boom this up and down, operate the quick release. The only thing I can't do is rotate the bucket. Now, I pulled off one of these at a time, started the machine. When I pull this one off, the parking light comes on. The boom still goes up and down. That moves, but I can't move the wheels. That's the parking lock. So without that popping up, the machine is locked in place. When I pulled this one up, that one pretty much locked everything. Or I don't know if I could move back and forth, but it did lock the hydraulics from going up and down. The one in the middle made absolutely no difference. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to check for voltage, and if I'm getting voltage on all three of these the same, I mean, and then I'm actually going to pull that fuse box, look in there and see if it's a fuse. That'd be pretty stupid of a fuse, but that wouldn't explain the intermittent, it working, it not working. I'm thinking the coil is a problem. And looking at that coil, it's definitely probably not something that's serviceable, but I'm going to pressure clean, blow this off, pressure clean it probably, clean it really good so we don't introduce any dirt into the hydraulic system. I don't think that solenoid's working. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead, pop that off, because it made no difference whether I unplugged it or plugged it. The only thing I didn't check is the auxiliary hydraulics, but I don't know. I should probably pull this one as well, but I don't. Yeah. Yeah, let me do a little bit more exploring, because that one definitely, something's not happened, but I didn't check if my auxiliary stuff is actually doing anything. And without, I mean, I can push the button and see if the thing comes up like it's gonna work, but it'll just deadhead the pressure here, and I really don't want to do that. But I'm thinking, I think I'm narrowing it down. So I'm actually going to pull that plug there and see if that makes a difference. And then we'll go from there, cleaning this, checking fuses. I'm actually going to pull the solenoid. I'm assuming this is a 12 volt system. What we'll do is we'll read the other pins and see what kind of voltage we're getting. If it's 12 volt, I'll pull that thing out and manually put 12 volts to it, see if it's working or not. And then we'll go from there and see if we can get a new one. Hopefully that's it. That'd be a quick, easy fix. It's right there. And, you know, now we know what to look for, kind of, when the hydraulics lock out. Okay, this is what I found out, okay? By process of just trying all the functions of the machine while unplugging stuff, this is what I found. This is the parking brake, okay? This, which I thought was not working, and I actually pulled this solenoid and swapped it with that solenoid. So I know for a fact that that solenoid was working, but I later realized there was a function that I didn't test, and I called the neighbor, and he asked me about something, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. This is for the 2-speed. When I pull this trigger here, this goes into high gear. That's that, and that is working. That is for basically all the hydraulics. When I disconnect this, I lose the ability to move the machine forward and back, up and down. All the hydraulics stop working. This is for the auxiliary. That's for these right here. And they all seem to be working, because I can activate it and I can hear it building pressure and bogging the machine down when I toggle the switch back and forth. So that's all working. there has to be another solenoid somewhere, and I need to find it. So I'm gonna take a break and go get something to eat. I'm gonna have to trace down. There's got to be another solenoid, something that's hooked to this pedal. I'm gonna explore it a little bit more, because I can see like this wants to move, right? But like, I don't know if it, I almost want to pull that thing, but it's so tight in here. I might go get the pressure cleaners. I'm a little worried about the rust that's over here. I want to pull this stuff up, get some paint on it, get this stuff cleaned out. Now I'm always you know, I had a truck years ago, and it was leaking hydraulic fluid. As a work truck, and it had a hydraulic hygiene unit in it, and the frame had a nice coating of hydraulic oil all over it, and it was the only truck in the whole company that really wasn't that rusty. It actually protected it. I like to spray oil on everything, keep the rust down, you know. So if I can't get paint on it, we'll just oil the crap out of it, and hopefully it'll stop the rust. So I'm gonna go get some dinner. I'm gonna think about this. I'm gonna look some stuff up online for more solenoids. Yeah, it's got to be something. But all those solenoids there are working. I've figured that out. So we got to go deeper into the machine and figure out what is actually controlling that pedal and why it gets locked out like that. Obviously we got 2 brand new sensors. They can't be all bad. Everything works. The quick release works. I was able to undo it was so low in the angle, I couldn't drop it on the ground, but up I could get the thing out from underneath of it. I could still use the machine. Like, I could go pick stuff up. I can pick pallets up. I just can't pick them up too high because I can't articulate the thing right there. But I don't want to be running the machine if there's something wrong, you know. So we got to figure out what the situation is. Being that as soon as I turn the key, it's flashing. So when you turn the key, like, all the lights come on. It's obviously doing some type of check to make sure all the safety stuff is working. Something's immediately telling. So it's not a hydraulic pressure issue because it's before. So it's got to be something, a sensor, or I don't know, a pinch. I don't know, it could be a pinch wire maybe. It just happened so suddenly, you know. But either way, we'll get it figured out. I'm just trying to do everything I can do not to send this thing to the dealership at $170 an hour diagnostic. You know what I'm saying? We don't be doing that. And I'm okay with buying those switches. Online, people say that those are a huge problem. If it wasn't those switches, I don't mind putting brand new ones in and not having to worry about for a while and having a spare set. You know? I'm okay with having a spare set of sensors and switches and stuff like that. But we got to figure this out. Okay, we are going deeper. So I found 3 more solenoids. Now, these 2 here look like they correspond directly with the foot pedal. I also noticed that the harness goes down, connects into this harness, which feeds these ones up here, but also goes up here to what looks like 2 more of those magnetic switches. Now they look dirty. There's another one right here. Now, I assume because that's going backwards, that's most likely what activates the backup switch or backup beeper. I don't think that's really anything I'm looking into. But we have 2 solenoids here. Problem is, as much as they tried to reroute these pipes here, I can't easily just pull them up. So I would like to swap the connections to see if I can get something to happen. I also noticed this which there's an access hole on that panel right there. And that might be a safe or a I read somewhere in the manual that there is a way to lower the boom if for whatever reason the machine shuts down. And I do have the safety thing on the hydraulics in case the boom decides to come down for whatever reason. And if I decide to open up any of these hydraulics, I will bring the mini forklift over and pick up on this as well, just as an extra precaution. These are the rods down here. Okay, this one moves freely, and that's direct line with that solenoid there. This one is seized. That rod just is not moving. Now, I don't know what would lock this out like that. I mean, this doesn't even make sense. Anyway, I'm going to probably clean this a little bit before I attempt to go any further. There's a lot of dirt and dust everywhere. But the first thing I'm going to do is just swap those plugs around. The way these solenoids are, I could probably loosen this and just slide that off the thing and swap it to see if it's doing anything. I would love to test the voltage. The problem is, I don't know if this thing will start with the cab up like this. Let's try it. Let's pick the arms down. Okay guys, we're in the Kubota, and man, it's been a rough couple days trying to figure this thing out. I was going to pull off those hydraulic lines to get to those two solenoids, right? But I wind up pulling the connections off and ohming out the coils, and the coils seemed fine, right? You know, so I'm like, man, is it really worth, you know, I was going to pull one off and swap it with the other one to see if it was work. Now, that would be a quick, easy thing to do. You can just undo the screw at the top. They come right off. You can swap them. The problem is I got to pull them big lines. I'm not sure what the big lines do. I really got to step up my Kubota maintenance game and get a proper factory schematic for this thing with the electrical diagram, the hydraulic diagram, because I found stuff online, but it's like wishy-washy and not really all that good. The machine does need a good pressure cleaning, and here's where I'm at. I was going to pressure clean it and clean it and pull the lines and check it, because I was wondering if it was the mechanical portion not working. Now, I did call Kubota, and I got a price on those two right there. They're the same solenoid. They want, and it was a shock to the guy on the phone, it's a two-part. You can't just buy the whole thing. You got to buy one part individually, the mechanical part and the coil, okay? The coil, that little tiny piece of copper, which I've smashed many of them with a hammer on this table, okay? Many, many, many of them. And now I'm going to be thinking twice about when I do that next time. They want $500 for that little tiny coil, okay? And then they want $800 for the mechanical part. So if the coil's bad, or the solenoid's bad, or both are bad, you're looking at $1,300 just in parts, okay? That's ridiculous. So I get in the machine to move it so I can clean it, and I'm leaning more towards some type of electrical problem than anything, because as soon as I turn the key, bam, immediately that thing is flashing. So that's telling me before the hydraulics are pressurizing and realizing that they're not flowing right or doing anything, there's some type of electrical fault going on with something with that code in the hydraulic system. Okay, something's not right. Something's not reading. Now, I got in the machine. I go to move it. That thing doesn't show up. It's fine. So I'm like, wow. I check it. Man, it works. The pedal's free. Everything's working. No problem. I'm like, you know what? I had John here. I was like, we got a bunch of stuff I need to do with this while I can use the buck, because I had to dig a hole. You'll see either before or after in this video for a pipe I broke, or he broke and I broke. I was like, you know what? Let me just not touch these arms, because it happened before. I got that to stop flashing. But as soon as I put this arm up, it goes beep beep. And then that thing. That's why I thought it was this switch here, but I replaced them both. And man, I'm wondering if it's the connection. But the arms for the other, for these, the park and the hydraulic lock, you know, it's just not unlocking that one hydraulic. It's really frustrating, because for 2 days it worked fine. Now that night I was scared to do anything, so I told John, I'm like, listen, we're gonna do a bunch of stuff with this. We're gonna move a bunch of stuff around. We're gonna dig a hole, and I'm just not gonna shut. I ran the machine for like 3 hours straight, you know, doing all kinds of moving scrap, moving stuff around, digging the hole. We loaded my dump trailer down with a bunch of steel. I put the big giant bucket on. We cleaned up that whole pile of stuff over there, right? And I did all that thinking that if I got off the machine, it's not gonna work. Well, I go to get off the machine, works fine. And it worked fine for 2 days. I was like, wow, the problem fixed itself. Must have been sensor, dirt, something not reading. I don't know. Then all of a sudden, you know, I had the machine running. I put the things up. I get off the machine. I'm about 5 feet away, walking away to go move something real quick so that I can run the machine. And then I hear the beep while I'm over there. I had already put the arms up. Normally, when it happened 3 times where I put the arms up and immediately I'd get the beep and the flashing light. But I got off the machine and I walked over there and I heard it from a distance, and I'm like, okay, that's either 3 things. That's either telling me it's low on fuel, telling me that the DEF or DPF, whatever, the exhaust thing, is needing to run and I need to crank up the RPMs a little bit, or that thing has happened. And sure enough, it's happened. And I haven't been able to get it off since. So where I'm at now with this is, I need to check all the connections. I'm thinking it's got to be an electrical connection, because it's locking. Which is crazy. I don't know why this one moves free. You know, the solenoid's there. It's off. Keys out, right? This one is free. Solenoid's not locking me out. Like, is my solenoid sticking? So it's either the mechanical part, and if it's the mechanical part, would the computer know that the solenoid is like engaged or stuck? Or is something telling it, like, why is that not moving? And even, you know what, I'm an idiot, because when it was working fine for that time, I should have checked this pedal to see if when the machine was off, if it would move. The thing is, I had the battery out for like 2 hours to try to reset everything, you know, and nothing. It's still locked. So I don't know. It's like, if those solenoids do, you know, if they do lock out the hydraulics, or the hydraulics being locked out somewhere else. I don't understand what's stopping this pedal from moving. The rod from where this connects is right there in line with that. You know, I don't know of any other solenoids. I don't know, but I hate to have to load this thing up and take it to Kubota because I don't want to spend, what do you say, 175 bucks an hour to get them to figure out if it's a dirty connection or loose connection or a stupid switch, especially with, you know, they want to sell you parts. So they're going to be like, oh, you need this, 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 and that. Where it could just be like one stupid thing. Like, in all honesty, how much could that solenoid be? It's probably a Bosch solenoid. Like, when the coil, when he said $500, I was like, that just doesn't even make sense. You know, that solenoid looks like the exact solenoid that I've came on hydraulic pumps. Like, I've literally bought whole hydraulic pumps with big solenoids, double acting solenoids, you know, for like 250 bucks. For the whole hydraulic pump, the hoses, the electric motor, the solenoids, you know, everything. And you're telling me that little tiny coil, that big, is 500 bucks? Talk about a markup, man. It feels like when I buy parts from my Mercedes, from Mercedes. It's just absurdly expensive for some stupid little part, you know? But we'll get it figured out one way or another. I'm going to know this machine inside and out by the time I'm done. I am going to have to bite the bullet and get the manual because I don't plan on taking this to the dealer often. Unless it's something beyond my scope, which isn't much. I just don't have, like, somewhere. I did notice there's a couple connections for this thing. It's not like a vehicle where you can just plug in a computer and it throws you some codes and kind of steers you near. It gives you a vague code right here, you know, and online it just says some generic stuff about the hydraulic system. It's not saying, hey, this solenoid in this location, or, you know, solenoid for this operation is malfunctioned, you know, or it's building pressure somewhere. I mean, other than the pedal not working, the machine works great. Everything works. And when it was working the other day, the whole machine worked great. I mean, I was working the crap out of it while it was, you know, there was absolutely nothing wrong with it. And then when I realized I got off the machine and it was still working, you know, I'm like, you know, this is something stupid. I'm figuring it might be that ground block where I saw those rusty connections. It's got to be a ground. There's got to be a bad connection somewhere on a sensor or something. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to put the cab back up. I'm going to pressure clean this thing. And I'm just going to check and wiggle every single connection that I can see and find. Because I did check the voltage going to that. It was getting 12 volts. The solenoid did ohm out okay. It obviously is okay because it worked. And, you know, it lost its connection. Something's telling the computer to lock it out. And this is hydraulic. See, this is all this. Now I can understand, like, whatever, safety, this and that. But it's hydraulics. You don't need all this crap, man. You just need a valve. You just need to be able to open and close the valve. Just have the pump running, good pressure. All this stuff should work. You add all this electronic stuff into it, it makes it more complicated, and it just makes more work for... It basically gives them work. They get to sell you parts. They get to charge you $175 an hour to diagnose it, plug their machine in it, you know, and then change the part out. Probably, I bet you if I took this there, between, if it was that part, I bet you if so I knew a guy one time, like, this is how it would go down. Like, he changed that part, right? And if it didn't fix it, he'd still charge you for the part and labor to change that part and be like, oh, it's part of the problem. So they don't fix that. Now they just move on to the next thing. Oh, you needed all this stuff. You know? Like, I changed out these sensors because that's when I first noticed it. When I moved this, that's where I got the, you know, the first fault. So I figured it was this. And then I looked at the code. I looked online. And a lot of people said, yeah, change those the magnets and that little sensor go bad. Obviously, it's not the problem. You know, because I can do this. Right? Unlock it. I can put this arm up. It locks it. Put this arm up. It locks it out. Now, what it doesn't do when it locks, and this is why I don't understand what the problem is here. When all that locks, I can still move this, and you heard the machine start building pressure. It just won't move nothing, right? I have to hit this button, and you can hear the pressure when the valves release. You know? So, it's either the mechanical part, and it just decided to work a little bit. I mean, I'd like to pull it off and clean it, or at least take a look at it. But what I'm going to do first is just check all the connections. Because how could it work and then me get off the machine, there's nothing working, the pressure's just cycling, and then all of a sudden that thing locks me out. You know? It's like some weird phantom issue that I'm chasing. But I did learn the whole time I was running this, for those couple days, and thank God when I got off the machine I did this. I put the forks down like this, slightly bent down. Now actually I should have had it bent a little bit further down, but this is I can still pick stuff up and move it around, and I can still load my flat deck trailer with this. I did load my dump trailer the other day. I got like a $600 and something ticket in steel, straight up steel. It was tough because as this comes up, those things start tilting back like this, and it gets to a point where it's just not usable, you know. But I am still able to offload the flat deck and move stuff around here and use my barrel clamp, you know. But it's, man, I'll tell you what, it's like when I got that forklift. As soon as you get a forklift, your whole world changes, you know. As soon as I got this, everything, you know, everything got a little easier, more efficient. And then when you have problems, it's like, whew, man, it's tough because you're trying to figure it out. You don't want to spend the money at a dealership for them to just start swapping parts. Whereas almost at this point, it might have been easier just to bring it there, and you know, but I can already see, you know, a $2,000 bill. And if it turns out just to be a connection or a bad ground, you know, that'll kind of like piss me off. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. If anyone's out there that's ever had an issue with this or knows anything, I've looked online. I actually joined the forum. Everybody tells me, you know, I had one guy tell me it's that solenoid, but why would it start working and then not working? Is it sticking? Is it, you know, I don't know. Don't know, but we'll figure it out eventually. But yeah, that's the update on the Kubota. And stay tuned because, man, we got some cool things we're doing over here. I don't know when this video is going to drop, but the AC compressor cutting machine is probably going to be put in overdrive. So we need to up our equipment here. I got my buddy, he just wired me some more 220 out here. And I might have to break out the big welder. We got some we got some welding to do. We got some cool stuff on the trailer right now, and it's going to require us to do some welding and fabricating and make one of the baddest copper recovery systems you've ever seen. I mean, we're like, I don't know, an eighth of the way there right now. We gotta ramp it up over here a little bit, and then we're gonna be able to pull copper like nobody's business. But you're gonna have to stay tuned for all that. So if you come as far, thanks for watching. Again, any suggestions? Should I just take it to the dealer, or should I pressure clean the crap out of it, get some electrical contact cleaner, and just go through all the connections, clean them, and go from there? Check the ground. We will. There's a spot with a bunch of grounds. We'll check all the grounds. How about that? And then if that doesn't fix it, we'll might just have to go to the dealer. I'll tell you where we're going, right to the scrap yard. Dancing. You ever seen your copper dancing before?